So,
is there a lot of these like little regrets you have today that you think about? Because like you were so passionate about these games and they were your existence for so many years. Like, do you ever look back like, damn, I wish we did this. I wish we,
Oh yeah. I can think of one right now, which is another one I have, which is this is Age of Empires 1.
Okay.
Okay. And
unit pathing.
What?
The unit pathing.
I had nothing to do with unit pathing. That's all on the programmer.
Okay.
Sorry, it's partly on the programmers and partly on Ensemble Studios for thinking people would play the game at the number of units that we set as the default, which was 75.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Which everyone always went up to 250 or whatever the biggest number was.
Right.
I think they play these massive games with everyone at 200 characters, and of course it chugged the engine. That's why we said to have it at 75, guys. and so we didn't realize all the ramifications of playing it with 200. One of which is that you have a million billion villagers, and your economies are a lot different than later on. We never chopped down all the forests because we had 75 guys. That happened. The game ended.
It's a different game. You were playing a different game, essentially.
We were playing a different game, and when we got people in and we also had a company culture. This is very early in my career as a balancer and playtester. Okay, so I'm not taking the full rap on this. Before this, I had only been in charge of balancing things like, I had done some work on Civilization. I had done it on Doom and Doom 2, but balancing a single player game like Doom isn't really the same, right? I mean, you don't have to balance Doom player to player because all the players are identical.
Sure. It's a different level of balance, right? Sorry, but you were saying AoE 1 because some people gave me so much flack for interrupting you at like one point in the video. I want to make sure that I don't ever like lose track of a topic.
So it's Age 1 and we play so before I go back to my regret, I'm going to talk about one of the testing things that we did is that we didn't like the water that much. So we hardly ever we often played on all land maps, not always. And that was just a company culture. It wasn't any kind of moral thing. It just we didn't have water that much. So one of the and when we did have water, we didn't realize how good fishing boats were. We never exploited the fishing boats. We always treated them as like an adjunct. Let's make a couple boats to help with our early food supply. So we never realized just how mighty fishing boats were. So we brought in our first guy who was skilled beyond our level, who was Mike Kidd. Later on, got guys that were vastly beyond Mike Kidd's ability too, right? But we're Mike Kidd, and he says, "You guys never do fishing boats?" "Sure, I do." I said, "I had 5 fishing boats the last game," and he just laughed at me, right? Because of course, he make 50 fishing boats.
Apologies for this commercial interruption. If you love Sandy like I do, please check out his YouTube channel. I will leave a link down below. And if you love board games, please check out petersengames.com. Back to the video.
And then he noticed that we were playing at level 75 people, and he's like, "I kind of don't want to tell you guys how they're playing it in the real world. I kind of want to keep this little museum of what the game is like." But anyway. So we did. I did figure those things out by age 2 and 3, right? But because I kept being in charge of all the playtests, and in fact, I was playing. I was working really closely with the sheriff and the other. We had 4 really good testers: Maddie, Mayman Maddie, and the sheriff, and some other guys who were just top Age of Empires players. I'm sure if you go out in the wild, you'll find someone better than them, but they're up at the top end, right? So the sheriff, in fact, and Mayman and Maddie were the 2 guys that were at the top, the first game. Okay, anyway.
That's a whole nother...
Just before we're getting ready to release the thing, people are coming to me and saying, "You know what? People are saying that the Shang are too good." Okay, everyone wants to be Shang, and the Shang are the Chinese. Wait, are the Shang the Chinese?
I did not do my AoE 1 research. As
the Chinese. Remember, this is okay. Be fair. This is 28 years ago for me, right?
Yeah.
And the Age of Empires 2, we just called them straight up Japanese and Chinese. Right?
Yeah.
So when the Age of Empires, we called them the Shang and the Yamato. That wasn't my decision. So it was Shang because Yamato was the Japanese. So the Shang were too good, and the reason that we all agreed was because their villagers were cheap. Okay, they basically had crappy units. They didn't have many upgrades, but they had cheap villagers, and that was an advantage in the early game. So the suggestion was that we make the village. I think the villagers cost 35 food.
In AoE 2 now, that's like the Indians, I believe. The Indians have like a cheap villager discount. They get cheaper per age.
Yeah, I mean, we did different things in different games, right? But in Age 1, it was
Age
the
1.
Shang had the cheap villagers, and that was their thing. And so they went to me. It was all came down to me, and I had to make this decision in like one afternoon. Okay, because it was about to go out. We said, should we change the Shang and make it instead of 35 food, make it higher? And I thought, and I had two demons on my shoulder, and one of the demons was saying the game must be balanced so it's fun, and the other demon was saying big differences are fun, tiny incremental differences suck.
Right.
And both those demons are angels with halos up. They're both correct.
They're both valid, right? They're both.
So. But I listened to the wrong demon, which I listened to the one that said big changes, big things are better. So I left it at 35, and instead of what I probably should have done is gone to 40. You know, it was suggested it would be like 43 was the actual mathematical thing for the top players, but I didn't. But one of the secrets about Age is we never worried about the top players because they're going to be aberrant anyway. We want the game to be fun for
the majority of people that play it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly, right. But of course, these people are online. They're going to the forums, so they know what the top players say. So they think they're like a top player,
right,
and like some guy will come on and say, "Oh, it says here that the horse archers are undefeatable." I say, "Yeah, sure, if you have the reflexes of a bat." But for an ordinary guy, they're actually a unit because you can't control them properly.
Right.
Win with them, right? But we don't tell them that because they don't like to hear that, right? But anyway, so they said. So I said, nah, let's leave it at 35, I said, and that was the wrong decision in this case. But it was a judgment call, and what can I say? And then we went to the big celebration at the Dragon's Lair in Seattle, which is Wizards of the Coast. That's where they originated. That was their place. They weren't a company much yet, right? They were doing Magic the Gathering.
That's cool.
That's actually where I met Richard Garfield, and it turned out that he loved the stuff I'd done in the good old days, and I loved. So we both like spazzed out over each other. And
yep, yeah, I remember you telling me this. That's how you met him.
Yeah. So we were just anyway. So we had the four guys who were the top players in the country who were going to play for the Rise of Rome, and the winner got a trip to Italy. That was to Rome, right? That was the prize.
That was the grand prize back then.
Yes, and this is one of the very first prizes like this ever done for video gaming.
This is the founding fathers of esports. Like this is the where there was birth.
Esports. I mean, there'd been QuakeCon, but it wasn't quite the same. This is the real deal, you know, at least in America. And so these four guys are very excited. It's all being broadcast, and of course the Microsoft media crew is there, all very excited. So so I'm sitting there and I'm all happy, and this is the game that I balanced. The Rise of Rome. I'm the author of the expansion, everything I made up. They come to me and they said, I said, okay, what's your civs going to be? And the first guy said, I'm going to be Shang. And I go, okay. And the next guy said, I'm going to be Shang. The third guy, Maddie, said, I'm going to be Shang. Then the sheriff comes up, and I said, what are you going to be, sheriff? She said, well, I'm thinking about the Greek. No, Shang. So the sheriff was hilarious, right? And he and I became like super good buddies when he finally came to work for it. None of these worked for us yet, right? And they all eventually we hired him on. But so they were all for Shang, and maybe no one cared but me, but I cared.
But this is the days where you couldn't patch games, right? So once you made that decision, it was pretty set in stone, or no?
No, it was set in stone. I mean, we could, exactly.
That's interesting.
I mean, we could release updates and fixes online that you could download and install onto your hard drive, but it wasn't an auto update. You had to take effort to do it, and that meant that one person in 1,000 did, right?
Right. And then online, how did that work? If they played online against each other, would one person have the update, the other one wouldn't, or was there no online, right? Or
I don't even know how they fixed that. No, of course there was online stuff with Age of Empires.
The first one,
right? Well, sure. I mean, we were doing that in the battle we had for the guys to go to Rome.
Okay.
You got to remember
that makes sense.
Doom had already come out. Everyone's online now,
right?
Because Doom is the game that made that happen, and I'm very proud to have been part of Doom. And I will also say now that with Doom, by the way, the way they did it was you all had the same update.
Okay.
And it would tell you if you didn't have it. So you
okay.
either had to roll back your update or get the other guys to download it.